All right, Kimberly Wright, welcome back to the podcast. We got round number 2.
Woo! I'm so excited to be here. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, and you just got back in town.
I did, yes. Yep, just got back in town from India. I was on a 4-week silent retreat studying under monks. No voice, no cell phones, no Wi-Fi, and now I'm back and sitting here with you. So,
So I knew that you were in India, but I didn't know until like 2 days ago that you were with monks, that you couldn't talk for 4 weeks. And like, okay, we're all in real estate. You know, you build a great real estate business, and we'll jump into all of that of growing business through YouTube and Instagram and all of that. But okay, first off, what led you to want to go to India where it's like, okay, hey, I'm going to be at this retreat where I'm not allowed to talk, where I got to, because it's one thing to like, you know, unplug and but not even be able to talk for 4 weeks. Like I can't even fathom that.
honestly, I think, oh man, a lot built up to it. So, I lost my older brother in 2022, and then I lost my twin brother in September of 2023, and then I lost my relationship. We lost the house we were going to purchase, everything just kind of hit me all at once. And I found myself in a really dark space this last year. And then I got diagnosed with not just one, but 2 autoimmune diseases. And my health just really hit the fan. I was hospitalized, got diagnosed with POTS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and then ulcerative colitis. So I was bleeding internally. And I was like, man, life just hit me in every way. And I was like, I need to step away, because I was in such a suffering state of mind with everything. It wasn't just one thing I was grieving. It was multiple. It was my health. It was my business. It was my life, just everything. And so I was like, you know what? I saw this opportunity for India. I actually got referred to it from a family friend, and I was like, I'm going to do this. And this was August of last year. And then I got into the hospital in November, December. I had no voice. I couldn't talk. I was sick as a dog, had COVID, was in there with ulcerative colitis. And I was like, man, I can't go to India. And then December 27th, we leave in 2 weeks. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm signing up. I'm signing up and I'm going, because this retreat is all about the art of detachment. Detaching from everything, detaching from your state of mind, detaching from your physical surroundings, from everything that you hold close to your heart, the ego, everything. And it was a meditative retreat. There's breath work, meditations, learning under monks, how to actually step out of a state of suffering and into enlightenment. And I was like, that's what I need. Sign me up. And so I left everything, and then I went, and now here we are today, and I just have a calm state of mind. I have an unperturbed state of calm that is so peaceful. I have zero stress, and I don't have that mental noise that I had before. I have zero suffering now. And best thing that happened is I don't have that ulcerative colitis anymore.
Really?
I just went to the doctor 2 days ago, and I'm in remission. And I don't know if it's ever going to come back, because now I have all of the tools that I need to be able to step out of my own head, or step out of my head and into my body now. So yeah, that was a long answer.
No, I love it. I got a lot of follow-up questions, but I appreciate you sharing what you were going through that led you up to that. Because it's like, okay, so many people can see from an outside looking in, you know, they see all your YouTube stuff and you're always so, you know, happy, and but like people may not understand that, hey, like you could, like anybody can be hurting, anybody can be going through. Because if somebody was like, I don't know, following your Instagram, following your YouTube channel, even seeing in the office, because again, you've got one of those like just bubbly, always happy kind of personalities. They don't always see the pain that's underneath, you know? So then, I mean, what was it like? And then I want to get into the tools, but what were the biggest challenges of being there? I mean, were there challenges?
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the biggest challenges was I didn't fully understand what I was getting into until I got there. I didn't fully understand that I was going to be learning from monks until I got there. I just saw stepping out of suffering. Cool, I'm going. I wanted to leave every other hour. And on day 3, I fainted outside of the temple, the Ekam Oneness Temple in India. It's 2 hours north of Chennai. I don't know exactly where it was, but I fainted. And that's just the POTS. You know, your heart rate rises, your blood pressure drops, and your body's just like, peace out, you're gone. And I was like, okay. And that day I was like, oh no, this is too much. I need to get out of here. I remember I was getting on the bus, and the moment I told the volunteers that I'm ready to go home, I realized I'm running away from my problems. I'm running away from what's going on in my head, and we can't do that. we can't outrun what's going on in here.
Yeah.
So I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to stay. And there were days where it was easier and I don't have revelations. And then there were other days where I was like, this sucks. I can't talk to anybody. I need comfort. When we're sitting there in our heads so much, we drive ourselves kind of crazy because we're putting ourselves into that suffering state of mind over and over and over again. And until you realize you're causing your own suffering, then you can finally step out of it. And so each day I was like, all right, hour by hour, I'm ready to go. And I told the monks this, and they just kind of laughed. They're like, you're going through the process. But the greatest takeaways, like, it was the best, most positive, life-changing experience in my entire life, and also the absolute most challenging. Mm-hmm. I've done 75 hard. So have you, multiple times. It was the most challenging experience, and it was the best, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah, I can only imagine, because like you're always my go-to social media, because like you're the social media queen, right? But then when you're building your business that way, it's like you're addicted to this thing. Mm-hmm. So going 4 weeks, complete deplug, unplug, whatever you want to call it, none of that. Yeah, I got to imagine that would be some initial immediate anxiety.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of anxiety for that. And then how is my business going to run itself when I'm not even there, right?
And you don't even know if it's burning down, if it's going good.
No ideas. I just had to have that blind faith. I had to really detach and say, I know that I have my systems and my processes set up before I went. I know that my team has it taken care of, and I just had to let go of that control. And I think that's one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs have a struggle with, is letting go of control. There's a lot of realtors, that don't know how to delegate because they want to control everything in their business because they have that fear of, I guess, failure in a way. Yeah, no, it wasn't easy, but I'm so glad I did it because they made me see that it is possible. Anything that we think of in our brain can become a reality. The universe, God, the great divine wouldn't put any thoughts into our head if it wasn't meant to be a reality. So I went through this process and I was like, I trust you. Whoever you are, I trust you.
All right. So then, okay, I'm not as strong as you, so I'm probably not going to go do a 4-week retreat to that level. I mean, maybe, we never know. We never know in life, so never say never. But, I don't know, maybe at some point, but I don't think I'm as strong and as bold as you to go out there and make that decision. But then you mentioned, hey, there's tools now that you learned that you can continue to practice. So, maybe for any of us that are watching, listening, or for, just people like me that maybe don't want to go to that extreme, but want to learn from some of those tools of how we can maybe plug in those tools in our day-to-day life. Like, what are some of those tools that now that you're plugged back into the world that you're going to be implementing?
Morning routines, absolutely, hands down. Meditations, being able to sit with yourself long enough to be able to understand what's going on in your brain. A lot of people don't have the patience to do that. And to be able to start building that patience to do that, you need to build your concentration first, right? Just like you said, social media queen over here, I've been scrolling. We all have that addiction to some way, shape, or form. So it also takes away from our concentration. And I think you've said it before, we as humans now have a concentration level of what, like 0.6 seconds or
it's
something.
Like less than a goldfish.
Less than a goldfish, right? And I think focusing on that concentration and being able to have patience with yourself and step into your own head will then be able to give you a calmer outlook on everything in life, on everything. I hope that answered your question. Just meditations, breath work, hands down. We are all high strung. We live in a society today where it's just go, 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 especially in the real estate field. And it's just always so intense. And some people don't know how to find that balance, especially when it comes to work-life balance and even self-care balance as well. So my biggest takeaways to be able to give to other people right now would say, focus on your concentration, focus on being able to sit with yourself and build that mental strength and have that clarity, be able to be calm in any situation. That's your superpower. And that's your best way to getting into a great life and living in enlightenment. Yeah. Yeah, it is a funky world now. Okay, most people can't even fathom going to the bathroom without their phone. They can't be bored for more than like 2 minutes. And it's like giving yourself that room, that space
whether it be an hour a day where you're just with your own thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people get uncomfortable. They don't have something in their hand. They get self-conscious. They're not having a conversation with someone. They don't know what to do with themselves. Or, everyone always feels like they need to be doing something 24/7. But you guys can literally sit there and sit with yourself, and you can be totally okay. You can be fine. And most people don't realize that. They get anxious. They get anxiety. They get freaked out a little bit. I'm going to use my sister. I hope she doesn't watch this. But I remember her telling me at one point, like, she couldn't sit down and do a meditation because she couldn't calm the thoughts in her head. And I was like, that's exactly what meditation is for. Yeah. You're doing it right. Even though you feel like you're doing it wrong, just sit there and stop. And she's like, but it's just so difficult. It's uncomfortable. It's like, that's the point. That's the point. You're sitting with your body. You've never just sat there silently before. You're a human being. You're an energetic being. Like, you're supposed to be able to sit there and just be with yourself and be okay. And most people aren't. And so being able to practice that, I think, can change someone's life immensely. Yep. Yeah.
So I got one more question here, and then I want to kind of transition into, because like you talked about, hey, my systems, my processes, my team that allowed you to do this. So I want to get into that very deeply too. But you also mentioned something of, okay, a lot of the suffering was created in your own head, but you didn't have awareness, that it was created in your own head. How did that awareness come about? Because I think that that's probably something that we all are doing, that we don't realize, that we're self-sabotaging areas of our life by our own thoughts, by our own, but it sounded like you had some awareness while you were there on that.
Yeah, and I gained that awareness beforehand. So when I lost my twin brother, he was the only true family I've ever had, blood relative, only person I've ever known that was like, we were adopted together, grew up together, fought this life together. Like, he was the one thing. And so when I lost him, I was like, man, when's my turn? My twin brother, I don't know how not to be a twin. This is weird. Yeah. I lost him, and I was like, damn, okay, my life just totally uprooted. I'm going to go soon. And if you realize, I'm telling myself I'm going to die, right? And that's what I really believed for the last year. And then when I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis and I was in the hospital in November, which was 5 months ago, I was like, I sat there and I swear I had like a voice come into my head saying, you either live and you fight through this discomfort, or you have that choice to die right now. And I was like, fuck. Am I allowed to cuss on this?
Get you done on podcast.
I was like, fuck, okay. So I realized I am killing myself by my own thoughts. My own thoughts are literally what put me in this hospital bed, because I thought I was going to die. This whole last year, I lived like I was dying. I went skydiving, I went solo camping, I went traveling. I did all of these crazy things like I was about to die. And they say that, but that phrase is kind of not the most positive now that I look back. But I think in that moment, I was sitting in the hospital bed, I was like, all right, I'm causing my own suffering. Where else am I causing my own suffering? And so this retreat actually helped me be able to step into that concept a whole hell of a lot more. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm causing suffering in my business. I'm causing suffering in my relationships and my friendships, with my family, and every aspect with the food that I eat. It was deep.
Yeah, I mean, if you even look at, I don't know, the smartest, best scientists, like, they still don't understand the mind. They still don't understand consciousness. And if you look at like the most successful human beings in any endeavor, it's like they're all great, amazing manifestors. And I don't think that we understand the power that this thing has up here.
Absolutely. Our brains, we have to be careful on how we say things. Like, words are spells, right? We are literally putting spells on our lives. We are manifesting anything that we think, anything that we believe. We can create it. We are the manifestors of our own destiny. And I know that sounds super spiritual and woo-woo to some, right? But it is so true. And so I realized that I was doing that to myself. And, when we're able to sit there and take not only just responsibility, but be genuinely honest and authentic with ourselves and say, I did this. It's no external person or external force or event that caused me to feel this way. It's my own thoughts. And yes, grief, I went through a lot of grief, is a biological emotion, but we also, our emotions are what cause our thinking, or our thinking causes our emotions, right? Our thinking causes our emotions. So that is what causes our suffering at times. It's how we think about things that causes us into a suffering state. So we're able to when we're able to stop and take a step back and be like, ooh, let me change those words. Let me see if I can change that a little bit and to more of a positive outlook or a positive way of thinking, then that could be the biggest difference in the world, from a great life to a not so good life.
Yep. 1,000%. And then, okay, so you're here for like, what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Then you're going to Europe. How long of this year are you going to be gone traveling?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. I bought a one-way ticket and I will figure it out. But I know in Europe you can only stay there for about 90 days and you have to step out of, into a Schengen area or something. I'm honestly like learning the art of detachment and just going with the flow. But at least 90 days.
Yeah. So then while you're back here, obviously we're doing the podcast, but you're out cranking out a bunch of video content.
Yep.
So then you have that ongoing video content while you're out there. So you still have business coming in, that allows you this life. So let's talk about that. So, cause your business has really been built. And I remember like when you first started with us in real estate, and I know that you weren't a fan of, the traditional Facebook leads, Zillow leads, and you're like, hey man, I really want to build my business through Instagram, through YouTube, and you've done such a phenomenal job at that. But that allows this kind of evergreen component, and it's also so much more relationship trust-based, where then it allows you to be able to go out there and have the freedom like this.
Yeah.
So kind of walk us through, well, let's first walk through, because obviously you have your agents here that can handle the business while you're gone. So if somebody's thinking, man, I really want to be able to, because one of the things that the negative of real estate is because we're kind of one of those industries where you're paid to be in town.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you don't set it up correctly, it can get to the point where you can't go out there and travel. But you're able to go out there and travel, still have the business coming on. So let's first maybe talk about, how did you identify partners that you can trust, that you can send that business to? Because that's kind of a hard part for so many, is that delegation of like, oh, well, what if they drop the ball? What if they don't do, like, how do you find agent partners that you can trust to be like, hey, well, I'm on a different continent. I know if this lead comes to them, they can service them and do a good job.
Number one, I wanted to make sure that I had agents that were very familiar with social media. Two, I needed to make sure I had agents that their goal was to be a realtor and be working on the field. I have two polar opposites right now. I have Chris, who's helping me a lot, and then I have Brad, who's like, he wants to be able to scale his business and just focus on that agent attraction and talk to people about relocating to Arizona, which is really cool. But I wanted to make sure that I had people, I had two different ones. One that can help me with the business side on the ground, and then another one that can help me with the social media, organic social media marketing side. So that was number one. And then two, I wanted to see where they're both of their end goals were. Because my end goal is to continue creating content. I love content creation. You know me, I've always been about it. So I wanted to make sure the people that I surrounded myself with are exactly the type of people that I can help grow, and they can help me grow in the same direction. So one's not going this way, the other's not going this way. We're all growing in the same direction, but we have different ways of doing it as well. They have different strengths. So like Brad's strengths are my weaknesses. That man is an absolute genius when it comes to social media marketing, Instagram growth, and YouTube. And then I have Chris, who is really great with clients out on the field. He is an amazing person, great realtor. He's killing it. And so I was like, perfect. Chris also wants to grow on YouTube. So I was like, let's help each other grow. So that was my biggest thing. I wanted to make sure that I had good people that also they not only were in the same atmosphere of me with my business, but also just led from the heart. They're good people, down to earth. They lead from the heart, and that to me is the number one quality I was looking for. Yeah.
So if I were to recap that, it's like, okay, you were intentional with knowing who a great partner would be for you, and then it wasn't like you just, like you invested the time to go out there and find those right people.
Yeah.
Okay. So then none of this would be possible though, if you didn't build that foundation, through your YouTube channel, through your social media, so let's talk about that. Cause dude, YouTube is, and I'm sure social is, I'm not as big on the social organic side. I'm sure when I say I'm not as big on it, that doesn't mean I don't love it as much. It's just it's just not my strong suit, right? Like you're my always go-to, hey, Kim, should I be doing this? No, Josh, don't do that. Okay. Right? My stuff's always been more on the paid stuff. But let's maybe start with, well, first off, let's start with expectations, because I get so many people that reach out to me and they'll be like, hey, I want to grow a YouTube channel. I want to grow my business through Instagram, organic, let's just say. And this is how I want to dominate business. But then I'll ask them like, well, how long can you go without a paycheck before you're in trouble? And they'll tell me something like 4 months. And I'm like, okay, the conundrum is kind of, you're going to run out of money before we start seeing the fruits of this labor. Now, I know that but you also had social media experience, background experience, content creation in a previous industry. So, I mean, you were up and running and crushing in like 5 months.
Yeah, well, sooner, yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, most that I see, it's more like 9 to 12 months. So maybe kind of start off with expectations. So for those that are jumping into this, if they do it right, how quickly can they start to see business coming in from this?
Are you talking about with YouTube or Instagram?
We can hit on either of them separately if you want, because I'm guessing they're not in the same bucket.
They're not because it depends on the city that you're in with YouTube as well and the type of market that it is. I think with YouTube, you should at least give yourself, if you're posting twice a week, every single week, and you're in a market like Arizona or LA or some of the bigger hubs, then you should be seeing leads coming in within the first 3 months, in my honest opinion, especially if you're a big relocating market, at least within the first 3 months, 3 to 5, and then if that's not what those leads are coming in and then you're not able to close any within the first 6 months, I would say let's look at your processes. Let's look at your systems and processes. How are you handling those leads coming in? Are you following up? Because that's the biggest thing. You have to jump on them right away. Same with Instagram in a way, but Instagram, I feel like everybody's on Instagram. It's kind of similar with TikTok too. If you're on Instagram and you're posting consistently within, let's say every single day in the first 30 days, you should get leads within the first 30 days. There's no reason why you shouldn't be. If you're not getting any leads within the first 30 days, you're doing something wrong. Your content, there's something wrong. So let's figure out how we can make your content better and who you're actually trying to speak to, because a lot of agents, I feel like they think that, oh, let me just make this YouTube video, let me make this Instagram reel, and they don't have an audience. They don't have a niche audience. They're not being intentional about it. So they don't know who they're talking to. So they're just kind of trying to throw things at the wall, hoping that it sticks, and it never does. And then they come back to us and they're like, I don't know what happened. And then I ask them all of these questions. I'm like, all right, this is exactly what happened. Yeah. let's retrack.
Okay, so let's chunk these down separately. Let's go YouTube first, and we're gonna pretend that I'm new jumping into YouTube and you're coaching me, right? Okay. Well, and let me ask you this first, because you said it depends on the market. Is there any situation or market where you'd be like, dude, I wouldn't even mess with YouTube?
Yeah, there is. Especially if it's not a big relo market. I don't know, Brad, he came from Oregon. I don't remember where he was coming from.
Medford,
Oregon.
Medford. Yeah, I live there.
Is that a smaller town?
Yeah.
Okay. So he did well over there, right? But he wasn't able to excel it in such a way like we are here in Arizona, right? So as I would say, like those types of markets, and again, my geography right now is not the best, but you need to be able to be hyper aware of your current situation. Like, where are you? Let's be honest. Let's be real. And if you're in a market like Medford, hop onto Instagram, and then maybe even just do the YouTube shorts on YouTube, and then kind of see where that goes. Because if you're putting all of your strength and all of your time into YouTube, and you're in a smaller market like that, don't expect to have 100 leads coming in within the first year if it's not a big relocating market. YouTube is a search engine, just like Google. People type in on Google places to live and blah, blah, blah. And then, YouTube videos pop up. But if you're in a smaller market, most people aren't moving to smaller markets. So yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, and I've seen that too. I can back that. I've coached clients that are in, let's just say a super, or not super, but a smaller town, Midwest, don't have a lot of reloads. I'm not saying they don't get business, but it might be 1 or 2 deals, a month after they're putting the same energy and effort that we can in a market like ours, like with you, where you can pop 10 deals a month, right? Okay, so then from there, because here's an example. I had a buddy of mine who is in a big reload market who consistently creating content. And we're talking epic editing, epic content. This dude's getting 14, 15,000 views on each video. But he's like, dude, I haven't had a lead or any deal.
What?
So I started assessing and breaking it down. No call to actions. So I mean, there is a science to this because so many people are like, oh man, if I just get all these subs, I get all these views. Then I meet people that make like $1 million a year through their YouTube channel that they may on average like 400 views, not 1,000 views. So there's a science and art to this. So, okay, if we were just speaking of YouTube, like if we start chunking this down, I'll let you lead with the product, but like, okay, what are the most important things to understand and know out of the gate so you can have that success? Because I see, again, so many people put so much damn energy, effort, and time, and they get nothing.
I love this. Yeah. So number one, know that your subscribers and your view counts do not equal closings. So that does not equal the amount of leads that you're getting in. Just like you said, if you don't have the call to actions coming up, you're not getting any calls. So number one thing, you need to make sure you have those call to actions in there, not just once throughout the video, but maybe twice sprinkled in. Have people comment below. You want to be able to get that engagement up. The more you have engagement on your videos, the more YouTube is going to push out these videos to the next viewer, and is going to just really create a funnel effect. And that's what you want on YouTube, is that funnel effect. So knowing that your views and your subscribers do not bring in clients, that does not equate to the amount of closings that you're going to get. That's number one. I have a little over 2,000 subscribers on my channel, and I'm killing it. I don't have thousands of views on every single one of my videos, but I have not thousands, but I have a lot of clients that I'm able to help serve and support at the highest possible level. Number two is, it doesn't matter how much editing you have on your video. It doesn't matter if you have all of these drones and all of this like excitement. Does it help? Yes. But at the end of the day, people want to know you for who you are, and they want to know the information that you have to give them. Is what you are saying adding value to their lives? Is it answering their questions? If it's not, they're not going to stay on that video, and they're not going to be calling you. So yeah, those are my two biggest things. Did that answer?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So don't focus on vanity metrics. Right? What we want to pay attention to is results. Making sure the right call to actions. Now, what type of content? Because I see a lot of people maybe not creating the right type of content. And then I see mixed things on this too. I've heard certain. Everybody's a guru out there, right? So I've heard these quote unquote YouTube gurus in the real estate space like, oh, dude, don't do market update videos. They don't work. Well, then, man, I got coaching clients in Vegas that are making like $2 million a year off their YouTube channel that crush it with market update, or, oh, don't do property walkthroughs. Well, like our mutual good friend, Josh Bryan, that's all he does. And he slays it with his YouTube channel there, but there can be right types of content to create. So where do you recommend people start?
That's a great question. One, understanding the market that you're in. If you're in a big relocating market, which I feel like Josh is in a relocating market,
Tampa.
right? Tampa, yeah. You can do property tours. There's who is it? Suman Kim.
Yep.
With Mike Sherrard too, right? I haven't met him yet. Love his content, but he seems to be in a pretty big relocating market as well. Property tours could do really well in big relocating markets. If you're in a smaller niche market, do market update videos. Those work. Those don't not work, right? But you have to figure out, okay, what type of content do you want to create? Because if you're out there trying to do market relocating videos and you just hate market update videos, and you just do not like talking about market updates, those videos are going to come across that way, and people are going to see that. Like, you are on camera. You have to be genuine and authentic. Do what you like. Talk about what you like talking about on camera, and then that's going to attract the right audience too. I think a lot of agents, they try to go out there and they try to be somebody that they're not, because these gurus or these other people are doing it one way, and then these agents try to compare themselves to those other agents that are killing it, and they're like, oh man, but that didn't work for me. Okay, let's figure out why. Because you don't like it. Okay, that makes sense. At the end of the day, I think that's one of the biggest things, is you have to figure out your market you're in, what content is going to work really well with that, and then do you even like it? Because if you don't like it, if you're not okay with it, there's no way you're going to be able to last and continue doing that, because YouTube's not easy. It's a lot of work. So you want to make sure whatever you're doing, you're able to do it for a long period of time. It's a long game, as you know.
Yeah, and I see a lot of agents, they'll be like, oh, I want to start creating like, what to watch out for during the buyer home inspection. And I get it. It's like, hey, we want to have good educational content out there, but at least what I've seen on YouTube, like that's not the shit people want.
No.
They want to know like what's it like living in that area. They want to know, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people, and the thing is too, is like that's exactly it. Like there's so much content out there about what to do as a first time. There's moving companies who have, you know, that checklist on their thing, what to watch out for when you're moving, you know? So people want to know exactly what it's like living in that area. What are they getting into? How are the schools? Are there family events around? How's the weather in March? Right now in Arizona, it's pretty hot right now. It's like summer. It's pretty brutal. But people want to know that, you know? They want the in-depth. They want this inside scoop from locals. And if you're a realtor and you're able to do that, you're going to do really well with that. I truly believe.
Okay. So we're creating the right kind of content for the market. Then from there, we talked about this earlier, but inserting the right call to actions. Because it's like, hey, we can have all the views in the world, but if we're not instructing people what to do, they don't know how to reach out, then they're never going to become a lead. Mm-hmm. So what are different types of call to actions?
Oh, man. There's a few. You can obviously write just like you do on yours, Josh. Hey, you know, I'm Joshua Smith. You know, there's that. My favorite one is right when I open up. Throughout like the first minute, I say, give me a call, send me a text, send me an email. I'm here to serve and support you at the highest possible level in any of your real estate needs or whatever. Telling them to give you a call, to reach out. That is number one. You're letting them know that you're open and you're available. And then number two is having people comment below. You can ask them a question within the video saying, hey, there's this model or there's this model home. I don't really like this one, but you guys tell me, do you like the cabinets in this home or do you like it better in this one? Whichever one you like, I'm going to shoot the next video on. Comment below, let me know. And then if they do comment below and then they say, hey, yes, we like this cabinet versus this one, drop the link to that next video in there so that way they can go see it. That's number two. Number three is saying if you have a buyer relocation guide or if you have a hiker's guide or something that you've created for your clients, say, hey, comment below and I will you can have ManyChat set up or whatever software you have to be able to say instantaneously comment on their comment, say, hey, just comment home buyer guide. And then they'll comment home buyer guide. And then it leads them to another link where they have to type in their email. Boom, you just got a lead. And then now they can download that home buyer's guide for free and get more valuable information. So there's those. And then obviously like saying, hey, stay tuned for the next video. Let's say I'm doing a video right now in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm going to go into one of the best neighborhoods in the Scottsdale area. It's called McCormick Ranch. It's been in the Scottsdale area since the Scottsdale has been founded. Stay tuned. Click on the next video. It's right here for you guys. That's another call to action because then at that point, you're leading them down that funnel and they're just going to keep watching and watching and watching.
Yep.
Yeah. There's so many ways to do it.
Yeah. No, I love it. So then, okay. So that's how you're generating leads, call to action. So people are directly reaching out to you or offering, like you said, buyer relo guides. Mm-hmm. And I like that you said, okay, comment below for it because then it creates more engagement. Yep. But then you're dropping the link in there, but you're not just dropping the link with a buyer guide. You're dropping them to a page where they have, like another website where they have to enter their information. So now they quote unquote become a true lead.
Yes. Exactly. Okay. Yeah. That way you can do that on Instagram as well, but doing it on YouTube, I think these people have been watching you day in and day out. They know you, like you, trust you. They're going to instantaneously give you their information. I feel like YouTube's a lot easier to do that with than Instagram. Actually, no, it's actually probably Instagram's easier than to do that with. Okay.
Well, we'll get into Instagram for sure too. And yeah, it's one of the things I love about YouTube, dude, because by the time they reach out, not in all cases, but in most cases, mm-hmm. they've been binging your stuff. Like you said, they know, like, trust you. Mm-hmm. Like if they don't like you, if they don't connect with you, they're not going to reach out.
Yeah.
I have, friends that hit YouTube really hard and they're like, oh yeah, man, the clients come out and they want to do a selfie because they almost think like you're like the local celebrity, So, the lead conversion rate's so high. It's almost, mm-hmm. it's as good, if not better than like a past client referral.
Yes, absolutely. And those clients that they find, like my clients who have found me on YouTube, they update me with everything. I don't even have to ask for it sometimes. They're like, hey, Kim, check out this new gym that I just put in the garage. Dude, you just closed a year ago. I haven't heard from you in 6 months. That's amazing. Congratulations, And it's so cool because they see you as a friend and they see you as family in a way. You're going to start getting invited to barbecues, kids sporting events, all kinds of stuff. And I think that to me me is incredible. It's so much fun. You're able to build that type of community. And with YouTube, I haven't found any other lead generation source where they automatically are like, I want this person in my life.
Yeah. So then, how important are like thumbnails and titles?
They're probably the most important thing.
Okay.
I would spend more time on my thumbnails and my titles than anything. I mean, obviously, like I have the whole video aspect of it all, but your thumbnail is the number one thing. Your thumbnail and title is the number one thing that people see before they even click on your video. If it doesn't pull them in, they're not going to click on it. So you just lost a lead. You just lost a view. And so I think a lot of agents need to focus more on what is going to be the thumbnail of this video before I even create that video, before I even create the script. What is going to be the title? And come up with a few. Come up with like 3 different versions. That way you can split test them. And then come up with a few different versions of the titles. That way you can split test them as well, because the first thing that you think is absolutely amazing may not be absolutely amazing to a lot of your viewers. So you have to see what people like and what they're going to click on. And especially if you're a new agent, split testing is definitely something you want to try, and you should be doing. That way you know exactly what your audience and your future clients are going to gravitate towards. That way you can start building content in that way.
Yeah, and YouTube makes it really simple to split test now, right? They have a tool in there where you just, like YouTube does all the work. So it's not like running Facebook ads where you want to split test where you have to set it up. Like YouTube, just click of a button.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now run the test, 14 days, see which one performs best.
Yeah, it's easy. I always like to go a little deeper and still, go on to TubeBuddy or vidIQ just to get a good idea of, okay, did this work or did this not work? Because the algorithm on YouTube is great and everything, but I always like to be a little bit more precise. So always getting those other tools can be helpful.
What is the target that because at least from what I've been told is that the click-through rate really determines the effectiveness of the thumbnail and the title. I don't know if you agree with that or not, or if there's a KPI that you're really looking for.
Yeah, the click-through rate is probably one of the most important things, but then the watch time as well. I'm sorry, Josh, can you explain that question again?
So like when I upload, like when I'm, just trying to see, okay, is this the path that we're going with these thumbnails and titles? Like I look at, okay, like over time, I never want to see below a 5% click-through rate.
Yeah.
Like immediately if we're at 10, 11, 12%, I know I'm onto something, but then over time it wanes a little bit, but I never want to see it dip below 5%.
Yeah.
But that's always been like my gauge of knowing, okay, are we doing a good job with the title and thumbnail?
No, absolutely. You definitely want to make sure that click-through rate is above that 5% at least, because if it's lower, then that watch time is going to be lower. Obviously, people aren't watching your videos, so what's the point? In my opinion, I know this sounds really harsh. I'm like, what's the point of making those videos if your click-through rate and your watch time are so low? So yeah, you definitely want to make sure your click-through rate is at least above that 5%, and then because that goes into that is the channel. That is exactly what you need. You need that good click-through rate for people to be able to stay on your videos, and it's just gonna again funnel down. Yeah, I think you already knew that answer, but yes.
Yeah. Well, I think it may, because like if we just take ourselves out of the YouTube world, but let's just say we're scrolling Netflix looking for a show, like we absolutely are judging whether it's called thumbnail, poster, whatever, just like you judge a movie. Yeah, right. Based on the title and thumbnail, that's that first impression. Yeah. So kind of looking at it that way of like our own behavior. Okay, it freaking matters.
Exactly. And another thing too is like if you are copying, I guess it's copying. We use the word copying. Copying a lot of the other agents who are killing it on YouTube. You're gonna start noticing that a lot of agents' thumbnails are looking very, very similar. And eventually, you're gonna notice that these thumbnails are working. They're working until they don't, because people are getting tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. Like if I'm scrolling through Netflix right now and I'm looking at rom-coms, man, these thumbnails for these rom-coms look like they're all using the same font with the same 2 people and the same poses, whatever. And I'm like, I don't know which one I want to watch. They all look the same. All right. So with the thumbnails, like, yes, copy and paste, but still find your way to have your authenticity on that thumbnail so that people are like, oh, there's Joshua Smith. I'm going to watch his shit right now because I know him, I like him, I trust him. And on top of that, he's posting different things than these other people are. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you mentioned watch time. And I mean, if you look at every social media platform, I mean, they really reward and award time on platform. So you mentioned that watch time is like the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
So how do you know if you're doing good? Is it like, okay, hey, if you're getting 50%, 75%, like what are you really looking for? Like when you go into your YouTube analytics of knowing, hey, I'm nailing watch time, because you're not ever going to get like 100% of everybody,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I always look for the hockey stick effect on the watch time. If they are dropping off, so it's like, if they're dropping off, like, I don't even, I'm trying to like visualize watch time in front of me. But if they're dropping off within the first 60 seconds and it just drops drastically, I'm like, ooh, that was a rough video.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to redo this. But yeah, you want to make sure that at least half of your viewers are still watching after the first 60 seconds. I would even say 75% are watching after the first 60 seconds. If they're not, you have to fix your intro. If you have a long call to action or it's just saying, hi, I'm Kimberly Wright, I'm with eXp Realty, I'm doing blah, 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 doing all of this. So just talking about yourself within the first 60 seconds, your watch time is probably dropping very quickly. So you want to get into the content right away. Give them value right away. Within the first 3 seconds, they open that video. That way they're automatically hooked. You already clicked something in their brain, their neurons, everything are clicking. You triggered that dopamine, they're ready to go, right? So that the first 60 seconds is the biggest, most important thing that you need to focus on is, I would even say, within the first 3. So
yeah, that's where YouTube and it's such a science.
Yeah, it is.
Art and a science combined. It's
absolutely, it's an art and a science combined. On top of that, is like there's agents, there's YouTubers out there where like they're just lollygagging within the first 60 seconds, and you're like, oh wow, I just watched this for the last 15 minutes, and they didn't really have a great intro, but I like the rest of the video. And, so it's an art, like you said. Their first 60 seconds could not be great, but then their watch time goes up sometimes just because of how great their content truly is. But you have to, with those types of YouTubers, they usually already have a larger following.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a mistake I see so many make is, okay, they go start watching like Joe Rogan.
I know.
Well, it's like, okay, like, yeah, he's got the biggest, YouTube or podcast or, whatever on the planet, but it's like, he's also Joe Rogan, right? Like, we're not celebrities. Like, we have to nail, like, he can do everything wrong.
Yeah.
And go out there and get millions of views on a video, right? Well, we don't have that luxury.
No, we don't. We also, like, I think, again, that's going back to comparing, right? Like, we have to make sure that we're not comparing ourselves to people like Joe Rogan or people or other agents who have these crazy massive followings, like Ken Pozak in Florida right now. I think he's with Keller Williams, but he's epic on YouTube. But he also has a really large following of people who are all over the country and in the Florida area. So he's able to create his content in a way that is just authentic and true, and which is great. But then he has these people that are just coming and coming and coming, even if his first 60 seconds aren't the best thing in the world, So if you're a new agent and you're wanting to start on YouTube, make sure your first 3 seconds are epic.
Yep. Okay. So then, we're doing all these things right. Let's just assume, right? But then we're getting these leads. Well, we got to make sure that we're working those leads in the right manner to be able to convert them. So what are, top tips, and then we'll jump on Instagram, but to make sure that you got the right systems where you're working these leads to convert them then into, because leads are relevant if we don't know how to convert them into appointments.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, make sure you have a CRM. That's number one. And making sure that you have a good process the moment they call. If they're calling and you're like, oh, you're just talking with them on the phone, and you're not really asking for the appointment, you're doing yourself and that client a huge disservice. You want to be able to, so my process, I'll just tell you my process, and that works really well for me. So I get a call or I get a text from a lead, and they're saying, hey, I'm moving from Portland, Oregon. I'm looking to purchase within the next year. Cool. Or, in the next 6 months, whatever. However long the time frame it is, it doesn't matter to me. I'm like, all right, amazing. What's your, I have that time frame. I already know they're looking to move. They've already made that decision to reach out to me. I send them automatically let's get you on a call. I want to go over the process with you, the step-by-step process, as well as the relocating process. That way you're aware and you know all of the obstacles to face and how to face them as you are moving on this journey within the next 6 months to a year or so. So I'm like, let's set up a time to get you on a call within the next day or two. And if it's not, then in the next week or whatever, but as soon as possible. And then from there, I set them up on a home search. That way they can start seeing some homes coming into the market, becoming active for sale. And if they're also out for 6 months to a year, the market's going to change a little bit. So that way they can get a good eye of where the market is headed when they are ready to purchase. And that way I'm also on them constantly. And then I set them up in my CRM. I set them up on that drip. I have them on the home buyer drip and everything. And then at that point, it's just following up every 30, 60 days, depending on their time frame, and just adding value, getting them connected with other Instagram accounts who are here local in Arizona. Brad, great example. I'm sending all of my clients his stuff right now because he's killing it on relocation stuff. And then, other YouTubers, I'm like, hey, here's this YouTuber. They just did this. And they see that I'm also just trying to give as much value as possible. And that way, when they are ready to actually purchase, they're going to give me a call. Yeah.
So okay, you're going in for that. I'm assuming that most of these are via Zoom because they're reloads.
Yes.
Right? That Zoom buyer consult, like ASAP, even if they're a year out.
Yes.
Now, I'm curious on there. Are you going in for the buyer broker agreement at that point in time? Okay, you are.
Yes.
Okay.
I am. Yeah. So I depending on if they're and on the Zoom call, you're going to get a better feel of what they're, how serious they really are right now. So I always go for that buyer broker right away. I say, hey, this is what we need now. This is the gist of it. I go over the entire thing. I go over the agency form as well. That's what we need, both of those in Arizona. I don't know how it is with other states. But then I tell them the process. I'm saying, hey, I'm committed to you as your realtor. I'm going to be here to serve and support you no matter where the heck I'm at in the world. But I'm committed to you, and I expect my clients to be committed to me as well. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that this process is as easy and seamless as possible for you, and you guys are well protected. So before we do anything, I do need you guys to sign this buyer broker and this agency form. And then if they choose not to, then I know that they're not that serious, and I'm not going to be on top of them as much within the next year. So that way I save my time, and I'm respecting my core values as well, and I'm protecting myself and my team. Because I don't want my agents going out there showing these people homes when they get here and they're like, oh, they didn't even sign a buyer broker, but we can't even do that anymore. So.
Yeah. Well, and then I was thinking too of that also then protects you where it's like, okay, hey, I can send them other YouTube channels, even from competitors.
Yes.
With great content, but I've already got them committed as a client.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And I do my buyer broker for a year. Because it's usually relocators. They're 6 months to a year out already. And then after that first 6 months, I recall them and I'm like, hey, where are you at? All right, cool. You're another year and a half out. Okay, I'm going to send you another buyer broker.
Yep. Perfect. Okay, so let's move over to Instagram. So if I'm starting Instagram, I have an Instagram account, but I've just been using it for entertainment, playing, never really being intentional with building a business. Mm-hmm. What is the quickest way for me to start maximizing that from an organic level to start getting real estate business out of it?
If I would say create a whole new account. Create a whole new Instagram account. If you are wanting to use your Instagram as a lead source and you were just using your Instagram before as this is fun, this is my life, whatever, I would create a whole new account. That way you're very niche down and people know exactly who you are. And then obviously you can connect the two. You can connect your personal account with your new account. But you want to make sure that especially if you're posting reels, and I'm speaking from experience, especially if you're posting reels about let's say you're into sports or you're a coach or, you're going to church, or you're traveling, whatever it may be, on this one Instagram account. And then all of a sudden you're trying to post all of this real estate content on that account. Instagram already now doesn't know who your ideal audience is. Yeah. So you need to be able to change that up, just like with YouTube, right? You don't want to be a relocation your YouTuber and then start having having agent attraction stuff on that same channel. So you want to be able to separate the two. So I would highly recommend having a separate account. And then, like I said, connect the two. So eventually you can start collaborating with your personal account and then your real estate account. And then that way people know exactly who you are. They can go to your personal page and be like, oh, Joshua Smith. All right, here's his wife. Here's his kids. Okay, I know who he is. He has all of these people on his podcast. And then you have your main account, which I know you have, like, your one account, right? But,
yeah.
But yeah, that was just an example.
Yeah. Well, and for me though, with Instagram, like it's just always been kind of more business. Like I've never really, I've never been a, Instagram guy up until I'm working at it. Yeah. Right.
You're doing really well.
Thank you. So then, you got your Instagram account. What type of content is going to lead to getting business? I mean, that's the hardest thing. I think everybody out there at this point in stage that we're at in life realizes the power of social.
Yeah.
Like the average person logs in their social media apps, 17 times a day. I don't think anybody's going to try to debate that. The biggest thing that I always get though is like, what the hell do I post?
Yeah. I think that's the number one question for everybody in any industry, right? Is what the hell do I post? I would say figure out your market. If you're in a smaller market, then I would say do things like Brad is doing right now. He's talking about all of these new things coming into the area. He's talking about, local businesses, a new pickleball resort opening up in Scottsdale. He's talking about and giving value to the locals who are already here. It's called That Arizona Life. So I would say talk about that. And then obviously relocators, whoever is wanting to move there is now seeing that. But you want to speak to the locals who already live there. And then obviously the real estate aspect of it all can be there as well. But I would say also that should be two separate pages in my opinion. Unless your brand, you're using your own personality as a brand, then I would do that. There's so many ways to go about it. There really is. You just have to pick one and stick with it for a long period of time. There's a few realtors like for me, for example, I post about real estate content. I do what is it like? What did I just do recently? I did something about like the average price points in certain cities here in Arizona. And then I would post, me on my stories talking about, oh, we are in this multi-million-dollar beautiful home in Fountain Hills shooting a new YouTube video, So I have that, and my clients like that because my clients also found me on YouTube. Most of my clients who find me on YouTube find me on Instagram. Does that make sense? I feel like I just kind of derailed that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can talk about, 3 things to watch out for in an inspection period, right? But that's very small, right? That's just like, okay, here's a fact. That doesn't necessarily give value. When you're posting content, you want to be able to grab that emotion out of people. People still want to know you, like you, and trust you. So be able to pull that out of them and create content in that way. There's another realtor right now who I absolutely love her content. Her name's Bailey. She's in Arizona. And she was just now talking about, she posted a reel about the grieving process when you're moving from one place to another. And that did so well because she's talking about real things for real people in the real estate process. And I thought that was genius because you're tapping in to the emotions and you're pulling people in. There's people, I looked at that, I was like, damn, you're doing really well in real estate. I know you are, because she's talking to people in a way that they're just humans. They're not clients. They are just real people dealing with real people problems. And she's creating content about that and how to work through that, how to grow through that process, which I think is beautiful. So I think at the end of the day on Instagram, you have to figure out exactly what type of content, like who are you? First of all, what's your brand? And then are you in a relocating market? If not, cool. Then we can narrow it down from there. So, yeah. So
if I'm understanding this, in a perfect world, if you had a coaching client that was, okay, like to do it exactly how you want to do it, it's like, okay, separate out your accounts where you've got one that's more business focused, one that's more personal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where my methodology, but again, this is your expertise, not mine, has always been, using it is kind of a combination of both to get people to know, like, and trust you.
Yes, and it can be. It certainly can be. And you can do that. And the reason why I say separate both is because the number one reason why I say that is because most people try to use the Instagram that they've had for the last 10 years.
Okay.
And I'm like, no. Your Instagram is now just a fully personal account. Like, you need to be able to go in there, change the algorithm, change your, is it a personal page, business page, or is it an influencer page? You need to be able to tell Instagram who your audience is and what you're doing. And it's so much harder to do that with a page that is 10 years old, because that algorithm is already set up for you, not for your ideal clients. And you need to be able to change that. So set up a whole different page. That's what I would recommend. If that Instagram is old, do not use it for your business. Just create a new one.
And probably because it's been dormant. They probably haven't been posting on there consistently.
Exactly.
It's probably harder to revive.
It is. It's going to be so much harder. And then you're going to be posting every single day for the next 30 days and wonder, why is this not working? That's because you haven't been posting for the last 5 to 10 years, and you expect it to just happen in 30 days. My friend, start a new account. Brand new account is going to do so much better. Just by posting for 30 days, you're going to see so much growth instantaneously. Yeah.
So then, I know the algorithm's always changing, and it's hard to keep up on this stuff. This is why I always like to be able to, like, Kim, dude, because you go out there and you obsess over this stuff. I don't have to worry about it. I'm just like, Kim, tell me what to do here, dude. But okay, if somebody's gonna, like, a perfect posting schedule, do I post once a day? And then when we're talking posts, hey man, I got an image I can upload, or carousel, I got reels, I got stories, okay, if I'm like, Kim, I'm going to dominate Instagram, I want you to lay out the perfect daily, weekly posting schedule for me. And that might differentiate 6 months from now, because the algorithm could shift and change. Like, for a while there was pushing reels so heavily, then they realized, hey, that they kind of, went away from that a little bit.
Yeah.
But at least as of right now, what would, like, an ideal posting schedule look like?
Ooh, I would say post daily, and be very intentional with your content. Very intentional. Don't be posting like, oh, here's me and the kids, and then, post a relocation video, and the next thing post a home tour. You want to be very intentional with your content and stay consistent with that. And then the ones that are doing really well right now, Reels, obviously. Reels are where you want to be. And then carousel posts as well, because Reels and carousel posts is how people stay on your page the longest. They're able to swipe through those carousels, those photos, and read it. You want to have words on there, so that way people can read it and stay engaged. You want that engagement. The more, it's kind of like the watch time on YouTube. Instagram is calculating that. So they're on your page reading your stuff or watching that reel for a certain amount of time. And then Instagram's going to be like, all right, people like this, and they're going to push your content out even more. So Reels and carousel posts are the number two things I would highly recommend people do. Single photos are fine, but not every day for a single photo, unless you have a ton of value on that photo and a ton of value in that caption. And then through the carousels and the reels, always have a call to action on there. Maybe not every single post, but at least 3 out of 7 days have a call to action, so that people know that they can reach out to you instead of just reading your stuff and having these questions stuck in their head.
Okay, so like you talked about, I think a video that you said that you did the other day of, like, I don't know, the top, average price point cities. Right? Okay, well, that could be a real video, but then you could repurpose that into a carousel where it's like, the top 10 where they scroll through, starts out with 10, then it goes to 9, then it goes to, and then you have that end call to action. One of the things that is probably a good thing, but for me that I don't like about Instagram is, like, you can't have links. Right? So when you do these call to actions, I'll tell them, like, copy and paste this link, put in your browser. Like, no, it's right. Yeah, right. So then, okay, but you could drive them to your link tree or whatever. I think you use milkshake or something. Is that called something like that?
I don't. I think I use Linktree now.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Before, okay.
Yeah, they're both great. Milkshake, Linktree, they're both great.
Okay. So then when it comes to call to actions, like, I mean, do you recommend to have a specific call to action there with like a link or somewhere you send them there? Or are you always driving them back up to your link tree?
I typically don't ever send someone up to my Linktree because they have to get out of that, and then it just does more work for them. And again, concentration, going back to concentration, their brain's already like, oh, look, there's a new reel. Let me look at that. The moment they get out of your post, they're gone.
Yeah.
That's what I say. So I always have them comment below. Like for example, on this last one we did, we were like, comment below which city we're missing. And then there was Mesa, there was Buckeye, like people commented wanting the average price point in those areas. So commenting below, and we would comment back telling them the average price point in that area. Now, if you're wanting, to have people actually DM you, say comment below, and then you use ManyChat. ManyChat's going to instantaneously send them a message, and then that way you can ask them, in that ManyChat link, you can ask them for their email, their phone number, whatever it may be, and then you have a lead right there. So another way you can do it is if you have that carousel post with all of the average price points in the cities and people are scrolling through it, pull it up on your Instagram story, use a question, the little like the stickers up there, and ask them, what city did I miss? Boom. People are going to comment in there, and they're gonna ask you, we want the information for these cities. Now you just got a DM, and then you can have those conversations in your DMs.
Okay, so walk us through stories. Like, do stories even matter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because then I'll get people that reach out to me like, oh, I only do stories. But then I'm like, well, and again, you're the expert. This is just where my mind goes is, okay, stories disappear. So then if you're only doing stories and you stop for a few days, like, shit, you have nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah. Stories are where people go to understand who you are as a person. That's where they get to figure out your personality. Your page is what you do. Your stories is who you are. That's what I like to say. So they will go through your page and they'll get all of the valuable information on your content, but they still don't know you. You can have those average price points on there, but who are you as a person? How can you help them? Are you going to even connect with them? And you need to be able to show that. So stories is where people are going to go to understand who you are as a person, what your morals are, what your ethics are, show them what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Oh, hey, we're out at the pool with the kids today. Here's this awesome water park, check this out, you guys. They get to see your personality. One of my YouTube videos I did a few months ago, I was like going down a slide in a park. I was like, this park is epic. I wish I had this as a kid. And people ate that up. They ate it up because they were like, man, Kim is so fun. She's hilarious. And I was like, you guys, I'm acting like a 5-year-old. This is great. My inner child is screaming. But then I told them, I was like, hey, there's a new YouTube video coming out about Litchfield Park. Stay tuned. And so many of my clients and people who I haven't even worked with before were like, oh, this is epic. I can't wait. This is going to be so cool. Can't wait for that video. So that's how you are able to interact with your audience, is through your stories. So
okay.
yeah.
So stories for you. So okay, like your if I went into, I don't know, your feed or whatever the hell they call it these days.
Feed.
Okay, so that's going to be more like real estate specific stuff, like you're talking about with carousels, with reels, but then your stories. Because sometimes when I'm scrolling through, and you got to forget, I don't know this shit that way, and I'm old, right? So when I'm scrolling through, I don't know if it's a story, if it's a reel, right? But I see your stuff, all the time. So, okay, when you're doing yoga, because you're really into yoga, right?
Yes.
So, that would be what you're using your stories for, to get to know Kim as a human being.
Yeah.
And then the reels and the posts and the carousels is just going to be more business specific.
Exactly. So that's my personal yoga travel page, right? Again, it's all kind of mixed in together, but that's what people like, that's my brand. So on that page, I have all of this information about it's grief yoga. So I go into about how to heal grief, the pain of grief, through yoga, breathwork, and sound. And a lot of my posts on that page talk about exactly how to do that. And I have them comment below for more information. I have a free guide for people who want to go through that process. They DM me, perfect. And then my stories is where they get to know me. I just had like 3 hair transformations within the last 2 days, and people are like crazy about it. And I had like extensions for, bang extensions, and I like dyed my hair, and it was just so much, and it was so much fun. And people were along for the ride. They were along for the story, especially my India trip. Wow. People were like, oh my God, Kim just left for 4 weeks straight. I wonder what information she has. And people want to know. They're curious because I posted on my stories before I even ever posted on my feed. And I thought that was incredible. And people were still engaged. And then the moment I posted my reel, people were even more excited about it.
So, but these are for each different a bit. Like, okay, the yoga business, that's a separate Instagram account.
Yes.
Versus your real estate business. Okay. So when you talked earlier, like when I first started this podcast, you were like, hey man, if you're not getting leads in your Instagram in like your first 30, 60 days, there's a problem. So is that how you're getting the leads, is the mini chat, comment, or getting them to somehow reach out?
Yes.
But you're just making sure that strategically there's a call to action in every single piece of content that you're creating.
Yes. Yeah. Not every single piece of content, but always making sure that there is a call to action in there, whether it's me pulling that from my feed onto my stories and having them, reply to the stickers that I have on there, or if it's having them comment below on a feed post, whatever it may be. I'm always making sure that I have that. And then also just making sure that the content you are pushing out is value-driven content. You're able to connect with people as people and not as leads. That's the biggest thing that I would say for people who are posting on Instagram. And then staying consistent, making sure you are intentional in staying consistent within the next at least 30 days.
How do you do that? Because I mean, so many people post like just sold in 2 days, call me, right? Where, you can still plant that seed, that ham in real estate without being that pushy in your face. So let's just say, okay, we go to across the street to Sterling Grove, right? Beautiful homes over there. You're creating a reel around one of the models, maybe the kitchen, like what would an example of that call to action be? If you want more information on this property or...
I would talk about the community and what the community has to offer for families and for kids, and the growth of the community as well. People, I've noticed, especially with where the market is in the economy right now, a lot of people are really concerned on where things are going to be in the future. And so I like to talk about that. And so I say, hey, if you guys want more information on this, I use my Instagram to direct people to my YouTube channel.
Okay.
So I always say, if you guys want more information on this community, I just shot an epic home tour on this model. Here's the model, the model name. If you want more information, go on my YouTube. This video is going to be up Tuesday at 4 p.m. Go check it out. And then I obviously push people towards that. And then that's how I'm able to get those people still rotating. It's like a hamster wheel. It's a nice little circle. They just come back around. They go through my Instagram, go through my YouTube, go through my YouTube, go through my Instagram. Yep. And it's how you just keep people engaged with you on all platforms.
Well, it's a good combination of kind of the quick, immediate, shot of content, and then they go to your YouTube where they want the long, right? Where it's, I'm guessing same follow-up process. Instagram leads come in, like you talked about with YouTube, pretty much.
Yep. Same follow-up process. I want to get them on a Zoom call as soon as possible. So it's the same thing with any lead generation. Oh my God, I just lost my brain. That. Okay. Any lead generation form, we want to be able to get them on that call right away, whether it be an open house, and whether it be cold calling. I've never really cold called, but with YouTube, especially with Instagram, especially if they are not here, set up that Zoom call right away. There's no reason why you shouldn't be setting that up as soon as possible. It's the easiest thing you can do. Yeah.
Well, I think the vast majority, not that I know, just from having so many conversations with thousands and thousands of realtors throughout our industry, I mean, there's a select few that are like, oh man, I love cold calling.
Yeah.
But that's like 0.1%. It's like 99.9% want to grow their business in the way that you have. Right? Where, hey, you got great, respectable people that respect your time, that know, like, and trust you, that value you as a realtor and a human being, that are reaching out to you for business. And that's what these mediums allow you to do. And what I love about them is, yeah, they are a ton of work.
Yeah.
But because most people won't invest the time to really mastering these and doing these consistently, kind of create a moat around yourself. Yeah, right? Because it might look like a competitive world, but it really isn't. Like, you really don't have that many competitors out there.
You really don't, because a lot of agents, they say they're going to do it. They hop on YouTube for 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year, and then they drop off because they don't realize how much work it really is. And like I say, if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to want to stay doing it for a long term, And so it does. So there's not that much competition. And the thing is no one's you. Like, that is a superpower in itself. You're going to attract a different type of client than the next realtor down the street who's on YouTube doing the same exact thing. If there's another realtor who has over 10,000 subs let's say in Arizona, I have clients who have watched their videos and then watched mine, and they're like, oh, I like Kim, I want to go with her, Yeah. We all attract different people, and that's okay. And I think a lot of times agents get in their heads and they're like, oh, there's too saturated. No, it's not too saturated, because you're not in it yet. So let's get you in it, and then you tell me after 6 months if it's too saturated, because I promise you, if you're doing everything right, you're in the right market, you're doing all of the thumbnails, everything you're supposed to be doing, you're going to be getting leads. And if you're not getting leads within the first 6 months, we need to sit down and have that conversation as to why not.
Yeah. Okay. So I got one last question for you. Then I want to transition into a big recent move that you made. So when it comes to, because one of the great things about this is, it takes a lot of work, but you can batch it, right? It's like, okay, like when you were gone off the grid for in India, wasn't like content wasn't being released. You're just like, okay, you're back here for 2.5 weeks or whatever. Gathering a ton of content, right? You're able to batch that for while you're gone.
Yep.
So kind of walk us through, like, what are some recommendations of, that you've just found over, this journey of how to be able to batch this, so then that way you can have that consistent content while, taking a month off.
Yeah. First of all, figuring out which platform you're batching for, and then I just kicked this, sorry. Making sure you know exactly which platform you're batching for. Again, having that intentionality and clarity. We need to have that clarity, because if you have zero clarity, this content is not going to be going anywhere. And then just going out, I would say sit down and do some recon and research and figure out, okay, if you're a new agent, this is for you. Figure out what videos are doing well in your market and what's not. What videos have the most engagement on them and what does not. And then start script writing. First of all, script write, or just do the bullet points, and then be able to say, okay, this is one video. Okay, if you're doing a video on a relocation, like a relocation video on a city, guess what? There's neighborhoods in that city. There's parks in that city. There's entertainment venues in that city. Now you have at least 4 videos to create right there from that one relocation video. Let's say I'm talking about living in Scottsdale, Arizona. Perfect. What's another city that people want to move to besides Scottsdale? A lot of people choose between Scottsdale and Palm Springs. Surprisingly, it's two different states as well. So what I did, and Neil in Palm Springs, we were like, let's create a video describing and explaining the differences between Palm Springs and Scottsdale, Arizona. And that's exactly what we did. And that video, I then went in and created another video saying living in Scottsdale, Arizona, pros and cons. And then going in and talking about the best neighborhoods living in Scottsdale, McCormick Ranch. And then going in even further, things to do in Scottsdale. Well, Scottsdale is one of the best, it is the biggest entertainment hub in Arizona. So that's a whole nother video there. That's 4 videos that I could batch in one day. In one day. So when people are like, oh, I don't know what to create, choose a location and then figure out exactly what videos are doing well in that location, and then go into the what to do's. People want to know what to do over there. People want to know what neighborhoods are great. People want to know the roads. What does it look like? Do a home tour, do a neighborhood tour. That's a whole nother video in itself. And then see what videos do best, and then go from there, and then start creating more content on the videos that are doing really well.
Yeah, I like that, because you're like, okay, I could go one day, that's 4 videos. Mm-hmm. So if you're releasing 2 a week consistently, right, that's 2 weeks of video for one day of being in the field.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and you can shoot these, you don't, like, the videos don't have to be, epic. They don't have to be extraordinary. You don't have to get this crazy, B-roll and drone footage. Does it help? Yeah, sometimes it helps. But if you're first starting out, don't even worry about that. Worry about getting good content out there and then learning from that content that you posted, and then go from there. So I would say give it at least 30 to 60 days with the original content that you posted, and then learn from that, and then start critiquing and changing things up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's important too for people to, pay attention to what you're doing today, because obviously you've had a lot of learning lessons, but then go back and it's like, if we go to Kim's channel, your channel, and watch video number 1, same thing, like I'll go to Mike Sherrard's, our business partner, Mike Sherrard, and I'll go watch his first stuff. Like, doesn't look like it does today, right? But we all started somewhere,
Yes.
Right? And it improves and it gets better and it iterates, over time.
Exactly. If you look back on my videos, the first videos I did, I was living in my mom's house. She had like yellow paint on the walls. I was like, Mom, we gotta paint your house. It's still not painted to this day. But anyways, I'm sitting in my bedroom just talking to the camera and talking about these areas. And I got leads within the first 3 weeks of me, like within the first 30 days, I got a lead just from those videos. And they weren't fancy. The lighting was awful. I didn't really have a mic. I think I had like one of those clip-on mics. I think you gave me it.
Yeah.
And the sound, everything was just weird. But I knew what I was doing. I had intention. I had clarity. And I knew that I was being myself on camera. And so people called me right away. Actually, it was so funny. One of my very first leads, I think the very first one that called me, he just called me this week to sell his house in Scottsdale. So it comes around. They're going to continue watching you. And I think also they have fun doing that. They have fun seeing your growth on YouTube, being from starting at the very beginning to then being an epic entrepreneur years later. People like a story of an underdog being able to become successful. So be able to be vulnerable and start small. Be able to start as a beginner. Allow yourself that, and then you'll be able to take off.
Yeah, I always look at it like, dude, we all freaking suck at everything that we do the first time. Everything that we do, and it takes, an element. Like if you look at any aspect of life, like there's a learning curve.
Yeah.
So many people just expect to be perfect out of the gate. I'm like, dude, show me one human being that's been able to pull that off, and it just doesn't exist.
No.
Right? So you got to be willing to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So then, so recently you made a big move to partner with us over here at EXP. So
Yes.
curious on what led you to that, and then I want to talk about what your experience has been so far.
Oh my goodness. My biggest thing, Josh, was you. I was like, I know this man is amazing. You've been my mentor, my real estate coach since the beginning of my career. And there's nowhere else I'd rather be, whether, besides for learning and excelling with you. Also, you lead from the heart, and I know I'm like tuning your heart right now, but no, like that's the number one thing. But also with EXP, I've been able to live a life that I haven't been able to live in my real estate career at all. Like I'm able to live my dream life now. They call it the lifestyle brokerage for a reason, right? Yeah. And I love the motto, this is where the pros go to grow.
Yep.
So that's another thing. I was like, I want to be surrounded by insane, epic, go-getting people. Like everyone at EXP that I've met so far, they are not to be taken with a grain of salt. They know exactly what they're doing and they are excelling at it. They don't even have any excuses. They're epic. And it's a lot of, YouTube and Instagram and just exactly where I'm at in my business. I've never been in a place before where I've had people who know more than I do. And now I do. And I think that is the best thing on the planet. And I'm able to learn from so many different people on exactly where I want to take my business and how I want to grow it. And to me, you never want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to be surrounded by badasses and be able to help each other grow in every aspect. And I've never found any other brokerage, any other team that has been able to give me that type of value and reassurance and abundance and, support. So yeah, that's the main reason why I joined.
Yeah, no, I love it. And what I love about this journey is, there's like being a mentor. Yeah, I always love it when the mentor then eventually becomes the mentee. Mm-hmm. It's like, I've been able to help mentor and coach you on aspects of your business, but then now you've surpassed my knowledge and expertise in certain areas where now you're able to coach and mentor, right? So it comes full circle and it's so much fun. And
it is.
Yeah, and I agree, man. I mean, EXP, it's, the fact that we're in 24 countries, the fact that it is a virtual company, You know, you have 24/7, 24/7 support
Yeah.
in the quote unquote cloud, whatever they call it. I mean, it's just, so it doesn't matter where you're at, what time, to be able to get that support and help that you need. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, the collaboration, and I think part of it, the collaboration is, number one, it's okay, when you have the top of the top in this industry, they tend to be, what I found, is much more giving. Like, okay, the agents that are making like $100,000 a year or less to operate more from scarcity, but those that are making $500,000, million plus every year, because they didn't get there without people pouring into them. They also get to a point where they understand there's no secrets. So I think that's part of it too. When you look at here in the States, of you pretty much going to every state, the number one or number two individual agent, number one or number two team leaders with EXP. So nobody sells more real estate. There's no more top producing agents. Yeah. So I think part of that is, okay, when you get to that level of production, they lead from abundance. But the other part is, like, we're all stakeholders in the company. It's the first ever agent-owned company.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, even if we're not in each other's direct upline or downline, it still is in my best interest to help you, because we all gain from the stock. We all gain from other things.
Exactly. And there's no other brokerage like that really at all. I don't believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, no, I think it's incredible. And I've never, that's the thing. Before EXP, I felt like with any other brokerage, the agents were always just so competitive and they were gatekeeping. And I'm like, why are we gatekeeping? Like, we're all in this together. We're all like, there's so much business to go around. I'm very confused here. And then coming to EXP, everyone just wants everyone to grow. Everyone is just so fluid, so supportive, so comforting as well. And they're always like, hey, how can I help you? Let me know. And I'm like, this is nice. I can breathe. I can breathe in my business now with the people that I'm around and not feel like I'm suffocating. And I think that's the best feeling, as well as just being in all of these countries and then having the revenue stream and so much more. Like, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah. The rev share play, such a brilliant play. Now, dude, I was the biggest critic
I know.
of EXP for so long. Part of that was me being naive, not getting it, not understanding it. Part of that was ego. I used to be like, oh, this freaking multi-level more, right? But then, once I got it, understood it, was able to remove the ego, then it was just seeing the power of this. But it's, especially when we're all together, it's like, before you started going on these vacations, hey, like Mike Sherrard's willing to jump on and pour into, you and I for several hours of, okay, let's come up with a strategy of, okay, types of content creating while you're in Europe, types of, different things. But then it also gives that, okay, where you're able to go out there and really mentor and then help and partner with Brad in different ways. And, like, we have such a big, it's the first everyone wins brokerage, everyone wins model I've ever seen.
Yeah. And it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I haven't seen any flaws yet, and I'm trying not to like look for any, but it really is. And like, we're able to help agents and helping others and not helping ourselves, which is just how it's supposed to be. When we are able to give, we're able to receive, and vice versa. And so, yeah. And then like just being able to hop on that call with Mike, I was blown away. I sat there afterwards in my office and I was like, this is so cool. This is so cool. I just learned so much information and was given so much value in such a small amount of time with my crazy plans that you guys 100% supported. And you're like, hell yeah, this is doable. And I was like, heck yes. Okay, let's do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Love it. And for those that are watching and listening, if you want to learn more about partnering with Kim and I at EXP, the cool thing about this is not only do you get full access to everything EXP offers, but because of how it's set up with the rev share and the organizations are set up, you get mentorship and access to Kim. You get mentorship and all my coaching, all my mentorship, all my support, one-on-one access to me. You get mentorship and coaching from our business partner mentor, Mike Sherrard. So it's just layer on layer on layer. So if you guys want to learn more about what a possible mentorship would look like, there's going to be a link below for you to click. We can jump on a 30-minute Zoom call. Might be with me, not Kim, because she might be in Europe. It better be with one of us. But either way, we're able to all partner together so we can pour into you and help support you and grow in your real estate business. Now, my promise to you is on these discovery calls, I've got two promises for you. Number one, it's 100% confidential, so nobody will know about it. Number two, you will not be recruited. We're not here to try to recruit you, not here to try to push you, pressure you, hard sell you. It's just, hey, here's what we got going on. Here's everything that we do. Here's how we operate. If you believe it is the best fit to help you grow your overall real estate business, great. If not, hey, that's okay too. We can still be friends. But again, if that's something that you want to take advantage of, there'll be a link below for you to do that. And Kim, truly appreciate you taking time. I know you got like a few weeks here of this condensed time for you got to head out, and the fact that you took time out of your busy schedule to be here with us has been massive honor.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Josh. Anytime. This was great.
Yeah, 100%. All right. And thank you guys for watching and listening. We will see you next time. Peace.